Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, episode 8 of Beyond the Dark Portal by Aaron Rosenberg and Christie Golden. First major battle of the story in this one, although it might not seem like it based on how I animate these. Let's go! Open the gates! The heavy gates to Nethergarde Keep did indeed open, to reveal Danath Trollbane waiting outside, looking very tired and very scared. Who's in charge here? Sir, state your name and business please. I don't have time for that! Who's in charge? I am. Danath turned to see an oldish looking bloke in robes. A Dalaran wizard. Danath Trollbane, is it? I thought you were with Turallion. Danath nodded, but now was not the time for getting acquainted. Close the gate and arm your men. The Horde are here. Khadgar's eyes widened, but he didn't question that information. Simply signalled his men with a hand, and they all rushed off to do that, and make ready and stuff. What happened? Turallion sent me with half the men we had at Stormwind. We left as soon as we received your message, but we were too late. The Orcs have already rebuilt the portal. They were waiting for us. My boys. They knew we weren't going to make it, so they covered my retreat. To warn you, I'm sorry for their loss. But your warning does give us time to prepare. If the Horde does plan to invade Azeroth again, they'll have to get past us first. Nethergarde was built for this. They will not find this keep so easily taken. How are you going to defend it? Doesn't look like you have that many soldiers. And I don't see any siege engines along the walls. True, but we're not without defences or weapons. You'll see. Well, whatever you've got planned, you'll have my sword as well. It was only an hour later that the Orcs started to appear, whilst both Danath and Khadgar stood atop the tallest parapet, observing the swarm approaching. Bloody hell, there's hundreds of them. However, Khadgar did not seem concerned. Indeed, not as many as during the Second War though. Either they've lost most of their strength or they're holding back for some reason. But either way, it doesn't matter. We'll deal with whatever they throw at us. You asked about the keep's defences? Watch. Khadgar pointed down towards the walls, and Danath followed said point. All along them were splashes of colour. Men and women clad in robes much like Khadgar's. And as one, they all raised their arms up in the air and started waving them about. A faint hum then filled the air, and then... Impressive. Well, how many times can they do that? I expect we're about to find out. Meanwhile, the reinforcements Turallion had insisted on waiting for had arrived at Stormwind, and so he, Illyria, her rangers, and a small army had set off on their journey southeast. But something inside Turallion was telling him they needed to move quickly. Something was wrong. Maybe it was a soldier's instinct. Maybe it was his own insecurities. Who bloody knows? But either way, the ride felt like it was taking forever. But eventually, the ground beneath them started to turn all red and dusty. And as they pressed further into the dead landscape, and the keep became visible on the horizon, Turallion drew his horse to a halt. Why are we stopping? Something's wrong. Illyria shielded her eyes from the glaring sun so she could see better, and then gasped. It's under attack. The Horde. There must be hundreds of them. The tone of her voice was half horror, but also half glee, with a smile of hate and rage twisting her face again. And Turallion recalled their conversation back at Stormwind. It certainly looked like Illyria was going to get a chance to do a whole bunch of Orc genociding today. We're almost upon them. We'll strike from behind, pin the Orcs between the keep and us. Once we've defeated them, we'll enter the keep itself and fortify their defences in case there are more waves. Turallion then took a deep breath, raised his hammer high, and allowed the power of the light to amplify his voice. For the Alliance! The rearmost Orcs heard Turallion shout, but that didn't matter, because they got straight up trampled. And the next row were dead before they even had a chance to react. Cheers erupted from the fortress itself, as Turallion and his men cleaved through the Orcs with hammers and axes and swords and stuff, whilst Illyria and her rangers fired arrow after arrow, at inhuman speeds. Didn't take long at all before they were all the way through to Nethergarde's gates. I came as fast as I could. Turallion turned to the man alongside Khadgar and smiled. Danath, I'm glad to see you're safe, but where are your men? Dead. By the light. All of them. The Orcs had a nice little trap ready for us when we reached the valley. My boys, they sacrificed themselves so I could retreat, and warn Khadgar of the Horde's approach. They did the right thing, as did you. Turallion then turned back to Khadgar. We need to figure out why they're attacking. Isn't it obvious? They need to get past us to reach the rest of Azeroth. No. Think about it. They lacked the numbers to take this keep. They must have known that. This wasn't the entire Horde, it can't be. So where are the rest? Why attack with only a partial army? That's a very good point. One way to find out. Bring me an orc, and believe me, I'll get out of him what we want to know. The way Danath said that made Turalyon flinch somewhat. The look on his face mirrored that of Illyria's. Pure hatred. For all of their brutality, and the pain they'd caused this world, Turalyon still couldn't help but feel pity for whichever poor sod of an orc Danath ended up questioning. But he went ahead and nodded his approval to that plan anyway, and Illyria wasted no time at all. She held up one of the towers, did her weird sign language towards a ranger below, and sure enough, not 3 minutes later, a ranger outside the gates cried out, "We've got one!" "Why are you attacking us now? Why hit Nethergarde when you aren't at full strength?"
"I'll show you strength."
The orc roared and struggled against his bonds, but didn't achieve much.
"I don't think you quite understand. I asked you a question. You'd best answer it."
However, the orc just spat right in Danath's face. Danath unsheathed a dagger and leaned forward towards the orc. Wait, Turalyon didn't like this. Torture was wrong, and he highly doubted it would achieve much, given that orcs seem to have quite a high threshold for pain anyway.
There might be another way to find out.
He could feel Illyria's eyes on him, angry eyes. She'd obviously been quite excited to see what was going to happen next, and felt like Turalyon was being a right puss. But the paladin closed his eyes, slowed his breathing, found his peace, and from that place of calmness, he reached out to the light itself. And the slight tingly feeling, as well as gasps and oohs, at the fact that he was now glowing suggested that the light had answered.
"Now, you will answer our questions and do so truly."
Turalyon placed his palm against the orc's forehead, and the orc shrieked and wept. It was glorious, but also it was burning his head. Why attack now?
"To distract you from the thefts. Us all needs things. Artifacts."
A simple plan? Simple plans are often the best. What artifacts, though? And why would he need any such thing from our world and not from his own? The orc shook his head and trembled. He doesn't know. He'd tell us if he did. However, before they could ask any other questions... What news?
"Stormwind, sir. Someone broke into the royal library. The guards found bodies, one of which died by orc axe."
Orcs? In the royal library? A perfect distraction. Damn it. Looks like their simple plan worked very well indeed. What did they take?
The Book of Medivh."
Fantastic. Turalyon felt a knot form in the pit of his stomach. The spellbook of the greatest mage in all the world. And now the orcs had it. Shit. I need that book. To close the portal. What? Medivh and Gul'dan created the thing. That spellbook could tell me how to close it. Properly. This isn't good. Look, we can't worry about all this right now. There's still orcs outside. And distraction or not, it's our job to prevent them from spreading past this keep. Once that's done, we'll figure out our next steps. Each of the others nodded. Even Illyria seemed to approve. You're right. We can't solve a puzzle if we're dead.